all for joining us at First English. First off, I wanted to share a little bit about myself. Kevin painted a good picture of how, yes, I'm very young, but I've been all over the board in ministry thus far, and I kind of want to talk about how I got there, because my story definitely shows why this ministry means so much to me. First off, I grew up going to an ELCA church. I was born and raised in High Point, North Carolina. I went to church at Augsburg Lutheran in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And my family was definitely a Easter Christmas kind of family. Definitely not super plugged into church. Definitely not super understanding of the function of church. More so, our grandparents went. It was important to meet them. But then when I got into high school, I started taking it upon myself to go to the youth group. And I had absolutely incredible youth leaders who their number one message was always that God was whoever God needed to be for me. Something that just kind of opened my heart to the idea that, God loves me for me. I was a very sad kid. I was a very anxious kid. Dealt with a lot of mental health issues as well. And I had a really tough time fitting in, and church was somewhere that was a safe space for me. But then again, it was really scary because I wasn't super plugged into church. I didn't know a lot about church. I probably could have told you a few Bible stories from the Sunday school days, and that was pretty much it. But went through high school youth group, loved it, but was still very intimidated by church, and I went to Appalachian State University to study sports broadcasting. So that's what I went to college for. I went to App State for sports broadcasting, and while I was there, definitely not a churchgoer, definitely not somebody who was any sort of ministry group. I was kind of a little bit of a loner, a little bit of a hippie, had hair down to about here. And I was the kind of guy that would tell you, man, it's all peace and love and harmony. We just got to treat each other right. And the group of people that I surrounded myself with were also those kind of people. People that said, it's all about the vibes. It's all about, spirituality. I'm spiritual. And the more I noticed, the more we were just sitting around and hula hooping and not really putting any words or action behind the way that we felt. And I'm a very passionate person. I'm a very emotional person and always have been. And even through this time of me not being part of any sort of ministry, I had a really, really personal connection with God that I understood, but I couldn't share with anybody else because I didn't have the capability. I didn't know. But something just kind of hit me. I like all the speakers today because I can take a little bit from what all of you talked about and definitely relate it towards my own faith journey. I went to a very beautiful school that had very beautiful nature surrounding it everywhere. And I just talked to God more and more and more on my own. And I knew that through these different courses that I was taking, these different relationships that I had, and these different nature experiences that I had, that I needed to do something more than just feel the spiritual. I needed to work towards something, work towards understanding how to cultivate that feeling, how to put words behind it, and share with other people the power that I felt through those feelings. So I took this huge leap, left sports broadcasting. I did communication and sociology double major, and then I just decided that I was going to go to seminary. I'll tell you, I didn't know a thing about anything. And I was like, well, I'm a good speaker. I love reading. I love writing. And I'm good at interpersonal communication. I should just be a pastor, right? I know it seems kind of ridiculous, but that is how my thought process worked. So I applied to Lutheran Theological Southern Seminary in Columbia, South Carolina. I graduated, and 2 weeks later I was taking Greek. And horrified. I mean, horrified. And you talked about competition and about intimidation. And I was scared. So scared. Because I would ask questions in class that would make people laugh because I didn't know. And I thought it was an okay question to ask. But then when a classroom full of people laugh at you because of a question that you ask, you start to maybe think, okay, maybe this isn't for me, right? My whole first year, I didn't feel connected, except for a few people on campus, one of which was Kevin's wife, Amanda, who was always so supporting. We sat next to each other in every single class. I did really well in the classes, but the candidacy side of things and the relational side of things were really, 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 really hard for me. And I left my first year of seminary being like, I'm not going to go back there because I was too sad and too anxious. So I knew I needed to do something in that summer to fill that time. I didn't necessarily want it to be connected with seminary, but I didn't want to give up on ministry altogether. So I went to Luther Rock Camp, and I was the chaplain there. I just put together all the curriculum for the faith side of things of that camp. Loved it. Best summer of my entire life. I'm like, I got a knack for this. I got it. I love working with kids. I have a calling, and I know this now, and I'm going to go back to school. So I decided to go back for a second year. I got all the way through my first semester and completely hit a wall. I felt like I wasn't loved in the community that I was in. I wasn't good enough to be a part of the church. I wasn't churchy enough for the church. I didn't have the language that the church needed. I didn't fit the certain profile. And I was just sad and lost. And I didn't feel good in where I was. So I left seminary and then ended up applying for YAGM, or Young Adults in Global Mission, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. It's a ministry of the ELCA, and they take young people in their 20s and ship them off somewhere, and you get to learn about God in a whole different community, in a whole different context. Because I knew, if I knew one thing, I knew that I didn't have enough experience being in different, unique, and diverse situations, and therefore I knew that my perspective of God was not what it should be in order for me to be a leader in the church. So I went to Senegal in West Africa. I lived there for a year, and then the pandemic happened. So I thought I had about 4 months left in Senegal. I had 3 days from when I got the call. I hopped on a plane. I came back to the States, and there was complete shutdown. I lived in the middle of the desert. I had no idea what this pandemic was until I got back to the U.S. And I was stuck in Newark Airport, terrified, because the whole airport was screaming at each other, everyone freaking out, everyone thinking that they were going to die, and I just 3 days ago learned that we needed to come back home. So, I didn't have any plan. I had a $1,000 stipend that YAGM left me, and I needed to find a job, and I needed to find a place, and I had an incredible experience in Africa. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, and it really showed me who I was as a person. But when I came back here, I knew I couldn't give up on ministry. I knew I still had something to give. So I applied to a bunch of different jobs on Indeed that had to do with ELCA. I knew I loved to work with kids. A lot of those jobs were centered around kids. And I took a job in Wapaka, Wisconsin as a youth coordinator. I moved there in the midst of the pandemic and was locked in for a year, learned how to do video and sound like all of us did at some point, and started a bunch of different ministries there that I was really proud of. But I couldn't do the small town thing, and I wanted to stay in this synod because I had met some amazing people, and I love Wisconsin. And so I decided to take another job here at First English. And I have to say, through all this experience, through all this confusion of what my call is, or if I even fit in the church, which I still ask myself all the time, I couldn't find myself in a better place for the way that I feel about church and the way that I feel about ministry. And a huge thing that I'm involved with is the FALC Summer Intern Ministry. So I do confirmation classes. I teach confirmation. I do everything with middle school. I have a high school youth group, and we go on trips, and we have regular high school youth group stuff. But this is the ministry that is only during the summer that I coordinate. So during the year, we try and get the word out there about that we want interns. Each summer, if you can go back, I'm going to read that. Each summer, FELC offers paid internships to young adults ages 18 to 25. Together with FELC's full-time staff, interns are the leaders for camps, trips, events, and service projects throughout the summer. If you are a young adult, a year removed from high school, the internship is a chance for you to deepen your relationship with God, develop your leadership skills, and gain valuable job experience. It can also be a great opportunity to discern if church ministry is a career you would like to pursue. And that is, I wrote that, I changed it a little bit from what it was before, but this program has been around for 25 years plus. And it's beautiful. It is something that if I could take a part of my ministry journey and plug this in there, that I feel like it would have ended or been completely different. It takes away that intimidation factor of what church and what ministry is. It takes away the intimidation factor that is often young people with pastors or young people with church staff. It's always that intimidating relationship. No matter how cool your pastor is when you're a little kid, you look at that pastor and you're like, wow, that's a holy person, right? And then when you get plugged into a staff when you're a young adult, it's pretty cool because you get to meet people on a personal level. And then you also get to figure out what they do and how they do it. So if you want to go to the next slide, and just some pictures of the ministries that we do. Bottom right, that's our vacation Bible school that's completely run by our interns. They also visit a Fox Valley Lutheran home at least once a week, do different activities with them throughout the week. Engage, the one in the bottom left is during COVID, and they were able to go in the hallways and sing hymns for people. That's our staff from not last summer, but the summer before. We usually consistently now have 4 to 5 applicants per off season. When this program started, it was 20 plus interns that they would have during the summer. I can't at all imagine it. But I have to say, with the staff that I've had since I was coordinator, I've been blown away by the things that a small staff can accomplish. So if you want to go to the next one, those are my 3 full-time interns from last summer. And then I introduced a new program that was a junior intern program that was kids right out of high school. You had to be 18 years old, but we had 2 junior interns and 3 full-time interns. 2 of the interns, it was their 3rd summer. And they knew this place like the back of their hand. And it was incredible. And they really helped me a lot with a lot of the different ministries we have. So this is just a few. Kids Life is something that we do here at our north site. It is twice a week. And we have kids for about 4 hours. And we give them a place we do Bible readings, we do songs, and then we play games. We have day camp, which is our kickoff of the summer, which is 5 straight days, inviting kids out to a park, and we have full day from 9 to 4, having kids do programs out there too. And also we give our interns an opportunity that in between all these programs, they're able to do things like guitar lessons or tennis lessons or things that fits their skill set, and they're allowed to share it with some of our youth. So you can go to the next one. This year we started a Hearts and Hands art camp. We collaborated with a local artist who owns a studio, and she came to our church and decked it out, and we got to do a week-long art camp throughout the week where kids got to do their own crafts. And it was headed by a full-time artist who created these amazing things for youth. If you go on any of our social media pages, you can see some of them. The most impressive thing I think out of all of this is these interns put on a worship service once a week here at our north site. And that's the logo right there, Wednesday worship. And they sing, they play instruments, and each one of them gives a sermon each week. So it's really, really powerful. We get a lot of casual people on a Wednesday evening that come in and are able to see young people leading a worship completely. It's a very beautiful thing. And Fearlessly Serving was something that we did throughout the community of Appleton and touched a lot of different places. This is my 2 junior interns in the center there in black shirts next to me, and then the 2 interns that have been here for 3 years. So we do a lot. It's very stressful, but these young people are the most inspirational people I've ever worked with. I mean, people that, we only pay $14 an hour, which competes barely with like Taco Bell, not even. And we ask them to work 20 times as hard as any other job that's going to pay them $14 an hour. And not only are we asking them to do this job with not a lot of pay and a lot of hours, but it's emotional. And you get connected to kids, just like any part of ministry. And so we ask a lot of them, but it's really beautiful to see them grow and see them develop and see them have special relationships. So if you go to the next one, this is like our month of August, which was kind of our chillest month, but that's kind of like what it looks like. They do high school dinners, and then they did a benefit concert to this place called the Dyslexia Reading Connection down the way that was our beneficiary of the concert. We invited people from the community to come and sing. We had a silent auction, and they raised almost $3,000 for this place. And they did that all amidst doing all these different ministries. So you can go to the next one. The hard part about all this is fundraising, which is a word for all of us, I think, and something that's really intimidating, especially when you're trying to keep a program going that's so it's foundational for this church, and you want to keep it rolling. To pay a group of people for an entire summer, it gets expensive. And not only that, we don't charge for any of our programs. So all these kids come by and are able to get free care and free programs, which is really important to us. So we do this thing called the impact auction. We have to fundraise for different things throughout the year too. So we can't take up the whole year fundraising just for our intern program. So we have specified it all towards one event, which is called the impact auction. And we do mailings like this one down here that's part of a different brochure. In years past, we've had a party. This year we're having a chili cook-off out here, and we're having carnival games and different donating opportunities. The main part is the auction. We go all throughout the community. We call people. We go all out for about 4 months of planning to make the biggest auction possible. Last year, between the auction and our events, we raised $32,000 for our program, which was super incredible, but it's just a testament to how awesome this church is and how much they've gotten behind this internship program. Because they do so much, everyone sees it in a different capacity, so it touches everyone in this congregation. That is what makes them so willing and eager to give, I believe. Do I have another one on top of that? So, if you know any young people who are a year out of high school, who this sounds like something that they might be interested in, whether they are in the area or not, we want to help them be a part of this as much as they can be. It is really powerful. It's not only powerful to this community, but it's power to them as individuals. We have specialized application forms that they don't ask, where have you worked? What's your ministry experience, as much as who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourselves. Tell us how this situation and this situation make you feel. And really just questions that I wish I would have been asked while moving into that seminary experience that ended up being so intimidating to me. More so, who are you? And that's just fine. God loves you no matter what, right? So that is what I have for you guys today. If you have any questions about this internship program, how to apply, who to talk to, different things about it, I'm here to answer your questions. But that's that, and thank you guys for listening so much.